Moving on, India and China held the 31st meeting of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination on Border Affairs in Beijing, signaling a positive development over the border standoff between India and China. India said both sides engaged in a frank, constructive and forward-looking discussion to address the situation. India says the discussion was aimed at reducing differences and reaching a prompt resolution of the outstanding issues. India's External Affairs Ministry also announced that both the countries agreed to increase communication through diplomatic and military channels. The ministry says the two sides had a frank, constructive and forward-looking exchange of views on the line of actual control, which is LAC, to narrow down the differences and find early resolution of the outstanding issues. Meanwhile, the two countries have decided to jointly maintain peace on the ground in border areas in accordance with the existing bilateral agreements between New Delhi and Beijing. Both the sides asserted that restoration of peace and respect for LAC are the essential basis to restore normalcy in bilateral ties. The Indian delegation also called on the Vice Minister in the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Well, the timing of the meet and the outcome assumes significance after Kremlin's statement that Prime Minister Modi has confirmed his readiness to take part in the BRICS summit in Russia in October this year. It will provide Prime Minister Modi and the Chinese President Xi Jinping an opportunity to meet on the sidelines of the summit. Well, for more on this, we were earlier joined by former Indian diplomat, Ambassador Anil Trigunath. He has served in the Indian missions in Bangladesh, the US, Russia and many more. Well, we asked the ambassador what, in his opinion, is different this time around, given that the official statement added narrow down differences for the first time. Take a listen.
Well, both sides, as you know, are meeting the 31st time. This is the WMCC's 31st meeting. And this meeting has been prodded by the recent meeting that Foreign Minister Dr. Jaishankar had with Foreign Minister Wangi in Beijing. And I think that both sides had agreed that we must make genuine efforts to resolve the differences to the extent possible. India's position has been very clear from the very beginning that the Galwan was a basic buster of the trust between the two countries, and the trust became the biggest casualty. And therefore, we need to develop the trust, and the India's position is that China should go back to or we must have the same situation as it was pre-April 2020, means before the Galwan clash. With some partial, as you know, success was achieved in the past. For example, there was a disengagement at 5 friction points that happened, whether the Pangsos, North and South Banks, on the patrolling points, 15 and 17A. Then we had Gogra Hot Springs and all. But the major ones that stuck out, and that is the Dem Chowk and Demsang. Now, those are the areas in which the discussions could have been. Now, both sides have a different perception. You know, the LAC has always been a contested area. LAC's perception from India's point of view is different than what is China. And that is the reason that there are always different interpretations that come along, and they have to be resolved through dialogue and diplomacy. That's what India has been always saying. Now, there is definitely, this is what I mean is the narrowing down the perception, differences that exist on particular points, especially currently in the case of these, the remaining two areas, Demsang and Dem Chowk. Hopefully they will be there, and they have agreed to respect the line of control. That is something really good. And there should be a mutual sensitivity and mutual respect, as Dr. Jaishankar has always been saying. So frankly, it is that this should continue to move forward, the talk, and they should try to resolve these differences.